What's up everybody, SuperSmallchibiwolf here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Genesis Evangelion. This is the original one, not the newer dubs after the one from the 90s. So with that being that, let's continue. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the characters. In my opinion, the characters were funny and amazing. You know, you got Shinji, he was a nice guy. You know, he wasn't so much of a strong hero type, but more of a normal guy who just is trying to do his best and get stuff done. But yeah. I think he was written in a way that the audience can relate to. You know, someone that has small issues in life but still can become something better. Shinji, I liked him because he was more of a character that tries to do a lot, and I would say he wasn't that much of a great character. He definitely isn't the best character, my favorite character of Genesis Evangelion, but I like him in a way that, look, he still got into Ava pilots and still fought, but I don't know, I feel bad just saying he sucks, because in my opinion, he wasn't one character that a lot of other people out here say the worst character ever or this and that. In my opinion, I've seen worse characters than him, so I give Shinji a break on this one. Now, like I said, he's not the best character, you know, he's not a strong protagonist, and he's not an example of a good, strong protagonist. You know, he's a good character in my opinion, but not a good, strong one, you know what I mean? So with that, that was Shinji. Now, next I'm talking about Misato. In my opinion, Misato, she was a cool, lovable one, you know, funny one. I would say, well, Shinji was, you know, a little bit serious and responsible. Misato was a responsible one, knew to be funny, when to be funny, a drunk, cool, a little bit serious, but not too serious. She was serious in a way of doing and getting her missions done, and being responsible, and yeah, funny. I enjoyed Misato, man. She was one of my favorite characters of Genesis Evangelion. I liked how she was, you know, caring and nice caretaker of Shinji, and she was also tough and strong, you know what I mean? And didn't take none, you know what I mean? And that's what I liked about Misato. I think with Misato and Shinji being teamed up together really made me enjoy it a little bit more, you know, each episode. Now, next character I'm talking about is Rei. In my opinion, Rei was a nice, quiet one in the group. You know, I think out of everyone, she was... So like I was saying, out of everyone in the group, I think Rei is more of someone that a lot of times, these day and age, if you go back and watch Genesis Evangelion, she seems more of a, no, you know, like part of the quiet characters in anime, which she is, but, you know, I believe she was the first quiet character in anime. I think, I'm not sure, I think she was the first. I might be wrong. But yeah, you know, characters similar to her would be like Nagato from the Melancholy of Suzumiya, Suzumiya, and that's an example of another quiet character. But yeah, just like Nagato, I do like Rei, man. She was pretty interesting and had great fight scenes, you know, and her background. Man, I'll talk about all that stuff later on, but I won't spoil stuff, so stay tuned. But yeah, I love Rei, man. She was one that was just great, man. Now, the last character I'm talking about is Asuka. Man, in my opinion, you know, she was a serious girl, but not serious in the way of being like, oh, she's a serious character, I don't like her, blah, you know what I mean? No, she was a serious character, but I did enjoy her, you know, her backstory. You know, Asuka, when she was in her fighting battle mode, you know, about to go fighting, yeah, she was a little bit serious. A lot of people might find her a little bit annoying. I've heard throughout my friends, you know, people saying, oh yeah, but those types of characters are kind of annoying, people might say, you know, but I would say Asuka, even though she was like serious and a rival to Shinji, saw him as like a little bit of a threat or rival. Yeah. I did like Shinji, man. I mean, Shinji. Asuka, man. But besides that, man, Asuka, I would say, is one of my favorites because, besides personality-wise, because I would say this, Shinji is one way, you know, this dude who's living day by day and, you know, trying to do better with his self. Asuka would be the character to, like, look, This is me. I'm happy. I'm going to go out there, show you how it's done. I'm going to go fight. And you know what I mean? She was like the opposite. And I enjoyed seeing that, And then in the middle would be Ray, the quiet water group, but still badass at the basin. So that's how I would describe all three of the Ava pilots like that. So before I continue, let me just talk about, I would like to talk about the connection between Shinji and Misato. I love the connection between Shinji and Misato. Man, they were funny and they worked together, I would say it was interesting and fun to see these two, because as a team, it was way better, I would say Misato and Shinji made a better team than Shinji and Rei or Shinji and Asuka, because to me personally, it felt like it was more live, the teamwork, with those two working together. But that's just me personally. Like, don't get me wrong, like with Rei and with to be honest, with Rei, he kind of did a little bit better than Asuka, because Asuka always fight with him. Man, I enjoyed that though. I just find it funny seeing two characters go at it, in a comedy way. So yeah, that's how I would say Shinji and Misato, great team. So this is a Monster of the Week anime, which means every episode will have a different monster called Angels, and our protagonist, use Evangelions, which are owned by an organization called Norb, to fight these angels, and they fight to save the world from what is called the third impact. And in my opinion, I enjoyed it, man. I love seeing the Eva fights, and man, what I could say, yeah, Monster of the Week anime, I understand a lot of people hate it, a lot of people like it, it's kind of more where do you stand. In my opinion, Monster of the Week animes can work, depending on how the characters are, depending the story-wise. In my opinion, here on Genesis Evangelion, it was okay. It wasn't the best, Monster of the Week anime, but yeah, man, I'd say it's okay. Story-wise, I enjoyed it, And you know what I like about Neon Genesis Evangelion? As the story goes on, it changes its focus, more from what once was Monster of the Week anime. It slowly becomes more of a character-wise, it focuses more on the characters and focuses more on their own personal struggles. It focuses on their own history, background, and these are the moments which gave it more heart to episodes and made me love the anime and the characters a little bit more. So that's why I say Shinji is not the worst anime character, And these episodes, man, they made me even like the other characters besides Shinji more. Even us, what was in Misato, even made me like her even more, seeing her background. And I love seeing all of these episodes because they gave it more heart, gave the characters, made me love the characters more, and made me love Neon Genesis Evangelion more. And yeah, the story was amazing. But I would say that you shouldn't be hyped about watching this anime, because I don't want you to feel hyped. Because, for example, okay, let me give you an example. Me, I learned this from experience, hype. The definition, the feeling of hype, in general, what I've learned throughout my life and years is, not a lot of times is this. Look, someone could hype up something a lot, right? But if that doesn't mean you're going to enjoy it as well, you know what I mean? And end up disappointed. So when it comes to Neon Genesis Evangelion, please come into this anime and other animes and genres, gaming, etc., movies. Come into it more of a open-minded and try to not have a huge, high, hype meter. And then, so you don't become that disappointed. But in my opinion, I think you're going to enjoy Neon Genesis Evangelion. I'm not going to say it might be the one that you love so much. I'm not going to say one that you might not love, But it is one to check out, and it is one that I love, personally. And yeah, so I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I just had to, I've been hearing a few times people say, like, personal people, like friends and all, they say, "Oh man, I enjoyed that anime you reviewed. Why did you say it was a good one? Why didn't you say it was a great one?" So that's why I had to say it in this way. So, moving on from that, the Evangelions, they were amazing, Now, without spoiling stuff, because I'm not going to spoil anything, keep that in mind. I love how their history is, the background of these Evangelions, and the background of how everything comes together, and you learn throughout the episodes and later on, And let me just say this. Later on in the budget of Evangelion, you could see that it kind of slows down the money-wise, the budget. And during the episode with Shinji Misato, they're just not as active as other episodes. Now, that's what I was saying, a spoiler, okay? And, shit. And let me just say this. I would say, for something like that to be going on, I understand when a company or a show has not a lot of budget, so they need to be creative. In these ways, that's just one example, by the way. They use sexuality and other stuff of Misato and the other female characters, and then trying to distract the viewers, And in my opinion, that's smart, Use something like that to distract people from what is it. But in my opinion, it's only going to work on those people who are like maybe underaged or so immature. Don't get me wrong, I like making jokes and all, But those people who would say, you know what, forget about it if that scene was garbage. It was still good. Like, no, man, I see through it, and it is pretty, noticeable. In my opinion, I noticed it. So you'll see that later on, though. And yeah. Now, I would say Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh, sorry, I had to check something real quick. So, something about Neon Genesis I was saying. But let me just restart it in this way. Damn it, I hate being distracted. But the music, let's talk about the music, because I already talked about the story, the characters, and a few other scenes. So, music-wise, the music, in my opinion, I loved it. It was nice, man. I wouldn't say it's like the best song ever in anime or in general, but it's one of my favorite anime songs ever. And I would say Neon Genesis Evangelion with amazing animation shit, blah, 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 for the time. Because look, a lot of times I hear a lot of people talk about anime, and what I notice, which is weird, with a friend though, and tell me in the comments, have you ever heard this? They would say, "Oh, yeah, man, I like that anime." For example, Dragon Ball, right? Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball. They say, man, the graphics were amazing, bro. And then they see something like Neon Genesis, and they say, "Oh yeah, I watched that before. The graphics were nice. It was good." Now, I would say this. I don't remember which Dragon Ball was playing at the time. I think it was Z or Dragon Ball, the original. But let me just say this. Yes, it did have better graphics. Man, I didn't even remember which one was playing at the time. But let me just end it like this. The music was great. The graphics for the time were amazing. And Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of my favorite animes of all time. And I recommend watching this anime. I watched the original, not the newer version from the early 2000s, or the latest one. I believe it was released in newer dub. So, take that with that. Because there's other versions besides the one I watched. I'll link it down below if you're interested in watching it. Now, tell me in the comments, what do you think? Now, the animes I recommend, watching, and also reviewed, are Elfen Lied for its similar fighting styles, and a little bit darker as well, and for its similar bloody fights and amazing characters and story. And School Life for its similar, everything else, its horror, lovable characters, and pretty cool story. I really did enjoy it. I still find myself watching a few episodes of both of those animes at times. And with that being that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me in the comments which one will you be watching, the original or the newer dubs. And with that, tell me in the comments what you think about Neon Genesis Evangelion. With that being that, till next time.